Mark's Inspiration, the Power is Within podcast. And we have technical difficulties tonight, so we are doing this off of my iPhone in the same location. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out my books on Amazon, The Power is Within, and Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels. Excuse me. And I have a third book that I'm writing, but I only write it when I travel out of the country, and I'm planning on going out of the country probably within the next 2 weeks, and I hope to finish it then. It's about the dynamics of relationships between men and women. So today's topic is going to be the value of fitness. What value is there in fitness? Now, a lot of you are going to be thinking I'm just going to talk about physical fitness. But there's much more in fitness than just physical. So we have physical fitness. What is fitness? The definition out of the Oxford Dictionary of fitness is the condition of being physically fit or healthy. Disease, dis-ease, or lack of fitness are closely related. So lack of fitness and disease are closely related. What is dis-ease? A disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially produce specific signs or symptoms of that affects a specific location. Oh, geez. Not simply, it's still too big, but if I get it too small, just a minute. What do we got? Oh, that thing's at 200%. I should have brought my glasses. It's a direct result of physical injury. So that's the definition. Number 5. I think it would be safe to say that health, disease, and fitness are closely related. What do you guys think about that? Health, disease, and fitness are closely related. I think we have a disease, an actual epidemic in the U.S. of obesity and overweight, which from that stems all types of heart disease, diabetes, and many other diseases because of the lack of fitness, the lack of physical fitness. But I believe it's not only the lack of physical fitness stems from a lack of, I believe, self-respect. Because if you really loved yourself and respected yourself, you wouldn't allow yourself to get in such bad shape. Just like the alcoholic who drinks himself out of a job, a family, a home, and he's on the street. It's because he doesn't feel good about himself because he has so much garbage and resentment, anger, shame, guilt, remorse, and the like within him that he drinks to try to push that down so he can feel good. It's the same way with obesity. People usually overeat like that because they don't feel good about themselves. So they're trying to push those feelings down with food, the comfort of food, like the alcoholic or the drug addict has come from alcohol or drugs, the same way with food. So what happens though, same as with the alcoholic or with the foodaholic, if you want to call them that, they have the same issues and they suffer physically from that. It gives them temporary relief. You guys see what's going on out there, how many people are overweight and obese now, and a lack of fitness, there's no drive for fitness. What would you say the percentage of your friends, okay, first off, I'll ask you, Brado, what do you think a boy your age, physically fit, should be able to do, like push-ups, set-ups, run? What do you think?
For my grade, I would say probably around like the 30s, 40s. Because I mean, we like do push-up tests. Like last year I had a class for it. The average was like 30, 40. Some people got like 50 or 60.
Okay, now how about running?
Running, for like the mile, it would probably be like 7, 8 minutes, which isn't too bad.
But how many people in your class can do that?
A good amount. That's what my class average was.
And what grade are you in?
Last year I was a 9th grader.
Okay.
So just a freshman.
Yeah, and you're talking about women too?
I didn't really pay too much attention because I mean we had a class like next to theirs, but it was just an all boys class.
Yeah, and that's your PE class?
It was weightlifting, boys weightlifting.
But that was a specific. It wasn't just the regular PE. It was people who actually wanted to do weightlifting.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Correct.
So you got a different. That changes the statistics because those are people who desire to be physically fit. But let's say out of the class, like one of your typical classes for history or biology, what percentage of those people do you think could run a mile, do 50 push-ups maybe, and 50 set-ups and some of the other exercise? How many?
That's a hard question, but I would probably say it would be lowered a lot significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, because most people are not required to do that. When I was in school, to be considered physically fit, you had to do like, I don't know, 50 push-ups in so much time, so many setups. You had to be able to run a mile, and I think under such a time, you had to be able to run and do different things because they had actual tests. Now, do they have an actual test in PE today?
For like push-ups and sit-ups?
For physical fitness, yeah.
Yeah, you would do it every so often, but for like weightlifting, it would be probably like once a week.
Yeah.
Or like once every 2 weeks, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. For me, it was like my class would be on the other side of the gym, and then you would have like the girls like PE.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we did it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was actually once every month.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes we would cut.
And how old are you?
I'm 16 now.
How old are you, Claude? You'd be 21 pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll be 21.
Okay, now the people among your peers and the people you run around with, how many people do you think could do 50 push-ups, 50 set-ups, and run a mile?
Oh, shoot. Man, probably like, okay, let's see, probably like 2 or 3 people.
How many do you think?
Shoot, I don't hang out with a lot of people, so probably like 2 or 3 people, maybe 3 or 4 out of like 10 or 15 people that I hang
It's
out
few and
with.
far between. We have a health crisis here.
Yeah, I mean, they like whenever we were in school, they're in pretty good health, but after they get out of school, it's like, because the thing is, when you're in school, obviously you had PE, you have to have something that keeps you fit,
Right.
like physically in shape. But after you get out of it, people just have a job, and
Yeah.
sometimes those jobs are easy. They don't require you to do physical things like hard
Right.
labor. So most of the time, people just gain weight or get fat, and then they wonder like why they're not like physically fit. Because with you, when I work, I do hard labor. I'm moving ladders all the
Right.
time, moving scaffolding and stuff, so that keeps you physically fit. But most people are doing jobs like flipping burgers or throwing fries inside of like
Yeah.
a basket or something like
Yeah,
that.
and eating them as they
basket
go.
of fries, yeah.
Well, I know myself, I quit running for about, almost 3 years because I hurt my back doing sprints with Claude. And I probably could have started running sooner, but I just kind of got out of it and I thought, well, maybe I won't run anymore. And of course, I was lifting weights. Then I decided I wanted to run again, and I started. It's like, geez, about a half a mile is all I could make starting out. And it's like, I thought, man, I don't ever want to let myself get this out of shape again. I mean, I looked like I was in shape because a lot of people look like they're in shape, but I believe being in shape or physically fit has a lot more to do with just looking at it. You should be able to go out, you should be able at least run a mile or two.
Yeah.
And I always prided myself that if the shit went down, I could run 5, 10, I could run 20 miles if I had to, if something happened. We were talking today, Henry and I, what if we had a solar flare or something and all the vehicles wouldn't work? Well, most people would be like, oh, I'll never get home. But I thought, well, it's about 35 miles. We'd get home by about 6 o'clock. But most people couldn't make a trek like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like to feel like, and people think, well, a lot of people probably think, well, why would you ever need to do that? You never know what's going to happen. You're so reliant on all these modern technologies, and they're great, but things happen where they quit working.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to depend on your physical fitness. That's like what Tate talks about, and people think he's crazy when he talks about, well, if I'm out with my girl and 3 guys come up to assault her, I'm going to have to stand up for her and protect her. And they say, oh, well, why would you? They just think that's like an impossible situation because people are so protected.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to rely on their own physical fitness. And I think for a man, at least for myself, and when I see in other men that I think have good character and integrity, you need to know that you can handle yourself, whether it be in a situation where your car breaks down and you have to walk 5, 10 miles, or you're out in the middle of the woods and you get stranded or whatever. You need to be be physically fit enough that you can handle the situation. And most men today aren't. A lot of the women are saying, where are all the real men? Well, they're all sitting home playing their games. They're not out there like you are playing football. I mean, you're the exception. You're training for boxing. So most of these guys, like you guys know, a lot of them are just home sitting in the climatized conditions. They go from heating in the wintertime to air conditioning in the summertime. They can't handle it. They get out there and it's 100 degrees. They wilt like a damn flower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just-
for me, I've been so busy with football. I mean, I think it takes up like 6 days.
I mean, you guys train out there when it's hot as hell, don't you?
Yeah, recently we prepare for the games that are like really hot, but this week it was like what, like 60, 70. So we had like a 5
Yeah, in the
a.m.
morning.
practice on a
Yeah.
school day,
Yeah.
and that was like probably 50 degrees. But otherwise, we're practicing like 80, 90-degree weather.
But see, these things build discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we lack in America today with our youth. There's no discipline, there's no challenge, there's no adversity, and the kids get bored and they're depressed and they get on antidepressants or something because they don't understand why. You know, Claude, you've experienced, I have too, when I boxing, I'm sure you've experienced the deal that you get out there when you're playing football with you at sparring, with me at sparring, and was fighting. You're afraid, you got nervousness, okay? And when you get out there and you face that, there's something about that afterwards that you feel like a man, you feel like $1 million. There's an exhilaration you don't get from anything else. Even if you lose the game, even if you spar somebody and you don't do as well, you got out there and you faced it. That's the deal. A lot of times the victory, I believe for men, at least in my, if you can walk up in that ring and face that opponent, even if you lose, to me it's a victory to walk up in that ring because you're facing the fear. And the fear has nothing to do with the other guy, it's you. You overcome your fear in yourself. It's you against you to get yourself up in that ring. Of course, it's a plus if you win, but that's not where the real challenge is. The challenge is inside of you. It's your challenge against the fear. And every time you face that fear, and whether you win or lose, you become a stronger person. And a lot of times we become stronger and more wise from our failures and our losses than we do from our victories. We learn more from our losses because sometimes we feel painful, we feel bad because we lost, and we look at the reason, we look for the reasons. Why did I lose? I remember one time I was fighting a guy at the prison, and I think it was like my second or third fight, and this guy was beating me, man, and I had to dig down, and I just started pounding him, and he started blooding his nose up, and he was beating me. I was going to get my ass kicked, but I dug down, and I ended up beating the guy. You know, sometimes you just have to dig down. You have to dig down deep and bring that with. We always have more than what we think we have. But it takes a discipline. You have to have heart. I've seen guys during my boxing career that were really good fighters, but they didn't have the heart. As soon as they started losing, they just kind of wilted. They didn't have the guts to get back up and to get back up and to get back up. You know, everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen in football, maybe one of your comrades in the football game gets nailed real bad and he's done. It's where somebody else gets nailed worse, but yet he gets back up and limps back out there and he finishes the game.
Yeah, we've had 2 injuries this year. I think one was in the first game, and he was our starting outside linebacker. I'm pretty sure he's like an edge. And he got, I think, an ACL tear. He's out for the rest of the season, senior year too. We're saying to see because, I mean, I doubt he's going to play college. I mean, I wish the best for him, but it sucks. And not only that, I think last week's game, we also had another MCL or ACL tear. And he was a senior too.
That's something that you can't hardly fix, isn't it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you have to get surgery for it, but I mean, you just put a cast on it or whatever. I mean, I don't really pay attention to it, but it sucks because they're both seniors, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to go to college for it too.
Football's dangerous as hell. It's like it's like much more dangerous than boxing. I think it's like
there's a lot of studies about like the brain after like years of playing football from like how many like brain trauma after like getting hit in the head so much.
That's kind of like boxing because they've examined or they did autopsies on boxers after they passed away and their brain is actually smaller, it's shrunk away from the skull, which makes sense because you're always getting hit in the head, so your brain tries to protect itself by getting away from the skull. And I can see where somebody in the audience might think, well, you're telling us we ought to be doing that, look at the damage it does. But I believe there's more damage done by sitting on your ass and not doing anything, sitting on your butt and just living vicariously through the other heroes you see doing the things you wish you did.
Not only that, but you tell us all the time, like, you know, like physical fitness isn't just like in like your physical body. It's also like, I mean, if you want to make your brain grow, you want to expand your brain, you read, and that helps. That helps to make your brain stronger. You know, it's not just about working out and having all the muscles and all that sort of stuff. It also has to go to like the way you eat and everything. Like, you know, like where you can be ripped as hell and all that, but if like your liver is all messed up from drinking all the time, or your kidneys are fucked up. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, that would
there's no point in being
Everything. We have
rich.
so many. I mean, it's like I quit caffeine about 2 months ago. It was harder than quitting drinking or drugs. I mean, because it's so accepted. It's everywhere. You can't hardly get a drink. It's like about all I can drink is water. I think drink a diet root beer. That doesn't have caffeine in it, but and that is like people don't realize how strong of a drug that is because, like, I used to drink coffee all the time. If you drink it all the time, you don't notice what it does to you. But I guarantee if I drank a cup of coffee now, I would be so janked up for about an hour or two because I'm clean. My body's clean. I eat good and I don't take anything. So yeah, the caffeine is really strong, but it's an accepted drug. Not that I believe you shouldn't have caffeine, but and then we have these energy drinks, which I was drinking that C4, which I think is delicious and I love it, but it's just too much. I didn't follow. I drank more than you're supposed to, so that's why I started having problems with it. But,
Yeah,
so it's a good.
whenever I take like you always buy us tuna all the time. Whenever I take tuna for lunch and all that sort of stuff, like and now it has a lot more taste because when I wasn't eating tuna at all, and I would eat and I would eat a can of tuna like because before I would eat a whole bunch of junk food all the time, it would taste bland. It has no taste. But lately, since you've been buying it more, and I'll take it to lunch, you know, and I eat it during lunch at work, it has more taste to it. It tastes bland, you know. There's actually some sort of taste to it.
Well, I know I don't eat. I really cut back on any kind of sugar, except it's hard to find food that doesn't have sugar in it. And it's like now, if I eat like the client we were working for, she gave me a chocolate chip cookie, which I love chocolate chip cookies. It was so sweet because I don't eat sugar, so it's like Now before I would have never even noticed. I thought, man, that's really good, but it was just so sweet it almost overpowered me. And then like when I eat a hamburger bun, it's like, man, they're loaded with sugar. Even peas, organic peas have sugar in them.
Yeah.
And then the non-organic, like Ken Del Monte peas, those are like, I eat them and it's like, like they got 5 teaspoons of sugar in them suckers. They're so sweet. They put sugar in everything because it's actually, it's a stimulant, it's addicting, salt's the same, so when people eat that, they want to eat more and more.
Yeah.
So, the food companies know that, and they're not really concerned about the health, I don't think, of the population. They're more concerned about the upper line, the profit. So when we look at these aspects of life, it's easy to see the value of fitness in respect to these things we hold as important. Fitness, like you talked about, mental fitness, physical fitness, emotional fitness. There's so much more to it. If you see a guy usually that's in good shape, he's got discipline, he's disciplined in other aspects of his life too. Maybe not always, but most of the time that's the way it works. And a lot of times guys want to attract girls and they think, well, if I get a 6-pack and I get big, they're going to like me. All that does, a woman looks at that, and of course she likes that, but she looks at a man and she thinks, there's a man that's disciplined, probably until she meets him, then she'll find out. Because he's disciplined enough to do something over and over, and everybody knows, I didn't feel like running this morning. I don't feel like lifting every other day. I don't feel like doing things a lot of times, but I do it, whether I feel like it or not. So what she sees is a man who has control over his emotions, over his self, over his feelings. He's a disciplined man. Now, of course, that gets your foot in the door, but when you open your mouth, you got to know what to say. But really, what you say is not as important as where it comes from. And if it comes from inner strength and from discipline, then she's going to be attracted to that. Because unlike men, women are more attracted to what's inside of a man. Although men are too, but a man's more likely, if he's with a beautiful woman, he'll put up with a lot of crap and a bad personality just because she's so pretty. That's kind of how us men are. Now, not all men, but a man who's not been with a lot of girls. But I've met a lot of women, been with a lot of women. I met a lot of women that were really beautiful, but I start talking to them, I don't like their personality. I really don't want anything to do with it. Maybe when I was in my 20s, I might want to, mess around with them or get them in the bedroom. But now it's like, and later in my life, it's like I look for some depth and some quality of character. But it seems like a lot of the women today think if you ask them what they have to offer a man, they don't know. A man wants a supportive woman. He wants a woman who's going to bring him peace. She's either a liability or an asset. He wants to know that she's going to be behind him. He wants to know that she's going to put him above everything else. And then any success he has is going to rain down upon her. So any kind of support or encouragement she gives him, she'll benefit from that too. And that's how they work together as partners. But now it seems like so many people want to think of, they want to do this equal thing, and I think everybody's equal in the eyes of God. Nobody's any better than anybody else in that respect. But when it comes to productivity, in most aspects of life, a man is much more productive than a woman. I mean, he can work longer hours, he can take more stress. Now, there are exceptions. We were working this week, and there's a girl up there that does the tile. And I'm telling you about that girl's a hard worker. She looks like she works out, but she doesn't. She just works.
Yeah.
Now, she's an exception to the rule. She paints, she climbs ladders, she puts tile, she's out there cutting the tile, and she looks good. I don't know how old she is, but actually I thought about interviewing her, but if she wouldn't be afraid for me to interview her, but I would like to.
Yeah.
Now, but most women aren't like that. I see some women working out on the roads, and most of them are not in shape. They couldn't lift the things the men do. They're just not that strong.
They're usually out there holding the signs.
Yeah, and
to
that
stop
doesn't
or
make
go
it,
for the
see,
car.
and this is where women get pissed off at me and call me misogynistic. It doesn't mean they're less. They can still do things much better than men can do. We each have our place in society. How many women are on the front line of the service? So less than 1% of the women actually fight in wars. Well, there's a reason for that, and I don't think they should have to fight in the wars.
Yeah.
I wish I had that clip that, there was a funny clip, I might have shared it with you, about the Titanic 2022.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
The ship's going down, and the captain gets, all right, all men and men
All
men and
all
children
men
on
and
the boats
children.
first, and the women are screaming, what? What's that?
I saw that.
Yeah, and it says, well, this is 2022, and we're all equal and all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he pretty much, he said, he's like, all men and children go first, and he's like, well, what about the women? And he's like, women can do the same thing that men
Men
can
can
do.
do.
Yeah, and while the ship is sinking, he's like, it's 2020. He's like, it's 2022. He's like, what do you think? It's 2008 or 2003? But
Well,
it's
in
like,
Sweden, I think it's Sweden or Switzerland, they're proposing to start drafting women and make them because they don't have enough men in the service. I don't want the women to have to go out there and fight, and I don't think probably most women want to go fight and want to go through boot camp. I mean, there are women that want to do that, and probably they're more fitted for it because they desire to do that.
Here it is.
That's the video, yeah. Man, I wish we'll have to play that sometime and talk about it, but, and so, I mean, it's just not, I don't think that's a place for women. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a place for men either, but we have to do it. But it seems like today they have forgotten how men, for centuries, thousands of years, have given their lives for women and children. I mean, like women, I don't need no man, all this, and I can do anything a man can do. No, they live in a society, and this is what they call me misogynistic, but it's a fact. I mean, look at the statistics. Just look at what's going on. We live in a society that has been built by men. This country was founded by men. Men fought and killed the native Indians, which was, I think, bullshit. We shouldn't have done that. But yet we're enjoying the benefits, the fruits of their sacrifices.
mm-hmm.
What about who keeps the electric on at night when the storms are coming? It's not women, it's men. Who builds the infrastructures, the roads, the high rises? Men have done all this for centuries. Some women are starting to get into it now, but they cannot handle the rigors of this type of work. Who works down the sewers? Not women. You don't see women coming wanting to work for us.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them could do it? Now, that woman I seen the other day, she can do it. And I'm telling you what, you want to call me misogynistic or whatever. If a woman could do the same job I can do, and if she could do it better or as good as you guys, I'd pay her the same or pay her more if she was better. It doesn't matter to me if she's a woman or a man. The fact is, most women aren't out there wanting to do that job.
Yeah, I mean, a good example is how many men are plumbers. How many men are...
I know. How many women are carpenters?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
women
I had a
are
summer
carpenters?
job actually, and I'm probably about to go back to
Bricklayers.
it whenever football's over and I have a free schedule. It's A&M Septics, which is like the shit pipes and
Yeah.
like the I don't know what would you call them? It's not storage. It's like there's a word for it I'm trying to look for.
Septic tanks?
Yeah, they're septic tanks, and it's like
Leach fields? They have fields for the...
it's like it's where all the shit goes to, pretty much. And I mean, it's a pretty big job. It's in the union, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I did not see one woman working
Well, they
there.
don't want to do that. I don't blame them.
I mean,
nor
Yeah,
should
no,
they be.
I mean, it's a good pay, but I don't see any woman working there.
I mean, how
Even
many women at school are teachers? A huge percentage of schools have women teachers.
Yeah,
There's
most
no-
of them are teachers.
Yeah.
Well,
there's
think
no-
about this. Would you take your kids to a daycare run by men? No, I probably wouldn't. I mean,
No.
especially if it was my daughter.
Mhm.
So it's not like anybody's cutting women down, but they've got this idea, not all women, but a lot of women thinking that they can do everything a man can do. During World War II, they increased the workday from 8 hours to 12 hours, and the accident rate in women, because they had women working, because a lot of the men were over there fighting during World War II, the accident rate for women went up to 150%. Now, I know they can probably hear that. Let's see if we can get that dog.
Hey Frank, go make sure the dog stays quiet. But anyways, continue.
So, but we're getting a little off topic here. To bring it back to fitness though, now this girl that we saw out there the other day, she's fit, she's in shape.
Mhm.
And that's what a woman's gotta be to be able to do the kind of work that she does and the kind of work that we do. I mean, you just aren't gonna do it, but you don't see women complaining or wanting those types of jobs.
Yeah.
Or fighting to be a bricklayer or a steel worker or anything like that. Because, and then they complain about, I'm really getting off topic, they complain about men making more money, but men put in more hours, men work more.
Yeah.
Now that's in general, there are women exceptions of course, but now let's get back on topic.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say is that what's it called? Like exercise and all that sort of stuff. Like physical fitness is really good for you because the world bears witness to who you are in terms of like how physically fit you are. Like people want people like, let's say you got a company or something that needed people to pick up heavy stuff. They're obviously gonna look at if there's 10 people there and 5 of them are fit and 5 of them aren't and 5 of them aren't fit. They're gonna pick the 5 guys that are
Right.
fit because they're gonna be the ones that are able to put in all that hard work and lift up the heavy stuff. The other people, they'll get exhausted after picking 2 or 3 things up and then they'll stop.
When I was young, we unloaded cement trucks and 90-pound bags of cement. Now, if you got 2 people that run a job and you got me there, I'm 160 pounds, I'm strong in shape, and you got a woman there that's 105 pounds, is he gonna hire the woman? No, because she can't do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Chances of her being able to pick up, I don't know how many trucks, 500 bags of cement and stack them up in the building are slim. And that's not cutting women down, we're just different. And like I say, women are much better at a lot of other things than men are. But it's just that women have been promoted to be men almost like, but they're just not men. They're not gonna be men, they never will be men. I'm never gonna be a woman, I'll never be able to have a baby. Does that bother me? Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, one thing that's hard that you've had to do is having to go up a high ladder and bring shingles. Man, them shingles are heavy. They are heavy. That's hard. Like you gotta be physically fit to be able to do that.
That's why I get you guys to do it.
Yeah, it's heavy as hell.
So we got aspects here of fitness: mentally fit, emotionally fit, and spiritually fit. So mentally fit would be you being able to control your thoughts, because every action is preceded by a thought.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't control yourself, then you can't control anything on the outside, because everything on the outside is actually stems from what you're thinking on the inside. There's an old saying in the Bible that says, "He who controls himself is greater than he who takes a city." You know, it takes a lot more strength to control yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't control your thinking, then your actions are stemmed from your thinking. You'll be doing things you don't want to do.
Yeah, one thing that I don't like is I see this on Instagram all the time. They'll post this picture whenever they're with their girlfriend, and after they break up, it's like he's like all ripped and all that sort of stuff. It's like you shouldn't be doing that because she broke up with you. You should be doing it because you want to be a better version of yourself, not
Yeah.
because most of the guys do it, and after they get ripped, they're not doing it intentionally to make her think, oh, look at what she. They're intentionally doing
Yeah.
it to make her think, look at what she lost. No, what you should be doing is you should be getting greater for yourself, because the best person you can be is yourself.
And
You
the
know?
best revenge is to become somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you want to get revenge, but I don't believe in revenge.
Yeah. I
But
don't-
so, what do you think about these guys? When we go to mentally or emotionally fit, is similar. These guys getting on TikTok or whatever and crying about their girlfriend. I mean, this women despise them. If we had Paulina here, she could verify that. It disgusts women when men do that. But they think that they hear this about, well, men need to be emotionally vulnerable. Well, vulnerable means to be open and susceptible to attack. It's a weakness. Women don't like vulnerable men, but there's a big movement out there, and I've even seen some dating coaches talking about men need to be more vulnerable. You don't need to be more vulnerable. You need to be more stoic. Now, stoicism is not stuffing your feelings. It's just being able to control your feelings. For example, let's say I was married. I've been married a few times and divorced. There's a lot of emotions there when your wife cheats on you or she leaves you. I don't need to be crying in front of my wife about that, but I can go talk to my buddy or my mentor and share my feelings with him. I don't think it's healthy or wise to stuff it all away and never express it. But you need to find the right person to share it with and a healthy way to express it, which would be working out, running, working hard, or something.
Yeah, and the thing is that if
that's energy.
If you talk to somebody like a man or something like that about how you're feeling and stuff like that, they're gonna snap you back to reality, make you think logically. Whereas if you were to cry in front of a woman, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They expect all they do is just sit there and look at you because they expect you to be the man. They expect you to be. They expect you to bear the weight on your shoulders and know what to do and think logically.
They don't want to be your rock. They want you to be their rock in the storms of life, because women are much more emotional and they have a hard time dealing with their emotions.
Yeah. It's like they look at you like, what do you want me to do? It's like, I'm supposed to be asking you what to do.
Right.
Like, that's just how it is. It's just the reality of it.
Well, this thing is not loading. I don't know what the deal is here. Okay, so spiritually fit. Now, sometimes when people hear that, they think, oh, religion. Spirituality, actually, I heard someone talking the other day, spirit means breath, actually. But spirituality doesn't really have anything to do with the religion. Spirituality is your connection with nature or with life or God or universal spirit or higher power, whatever that happens to be. To be centered. To be centered so that no matter what happens in your life, you're centered from within yourself, and you trust and believe that everything's going to work out. If you have a goal. Less than 1% of the people have a written goal. If you don't have a direction, if you're not going off in a certain direction, when the winds of life blow, the storms of life blow, you're going to be blown this way, then that way, and this way, and you're going to be all over. But if you keep going, if you have a direction, you get blown this way and that way, but you keep on course, and eventually, like a ship on the ocean that has a rudder to steer it, it will get to the destination, even though it has to go around some storms and the wind blows it. Same way with your life. We have to have a direction set, and we have to be spiritually fit, whatever that means to you, so that, I don't think I can hear the dog on. You have to be spiritually fit, so when those things happen and it looks like nothing's going your way, you trust that, yes, this is exactly what I need to get me to my goal, even though I can't see it now. You have to have some trust in something other than yourself, because sometimes we exhaust all of our ends, all of our efforts, and we don't know what to do. So we can't do anything. So we just wait until something is presented to us and do the next right thing. Sometimes the next right thing is to have to sit there and just wait and deal with the emotions, which gives you inner strength and character. Because many people want success, but what they don't realize is success without character building leads to destruction or self-sabotage. How many people have you guys seen since you've been growing up that became someone seemed like famous overnight, and they self-destruct with drugs, alcohol, women, or whatever they do, because they don't have the character to handle. Because with success of a big magnitude comes a lot of responsibility, and you have to have the character strength to handle that. Otherwise, you misuse it and abuse it. How many people that are famous end up in drug rehabs and because they can't take the stress of everybody wanting it? Hell, sometimes I get tired. I get 25, 30 knocks on my door a day. You can imagine what it's like for new kids. You can imagine what it's like for somebody who's famous. He can't even go anywhere. Oh, can I have your autograph? Oh, I seen your movie. It's like, can I take a picture with you? You see how they dress up when they go out so nobody can see them, or they have bodyguards. That's a lot of stress, man. People think they want to be famous, but do they really want to be famous? I can go out here now and I know everybody around town here and they know me, but it's not like you walk out your door and the cameras are flashing and gee, Christmas.
Yeah.
That would kind of get to you after a while.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one video where Kanye West was up at like 5 or 4 in the morning, and then there was this one guy. He's like, hi, he's like,
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
He's like, morning, Kanye. And Kanye says, he's like, fuck you, cause like it's like that's annoying as hell. It's
Yeah,
like
they're always watching you.
.
Always watching you. All
Yeah.
right, so here we go.
Another person that got punked.
We'll continue. Don't be put off by spirituality. I'm not talking about religion, as we said. I'm talking about the part of you that goes beyond logic, the higher realm. Some people call it the higher self. Something above the reasoning, logical mind. All men who have accomplished great things have spoken of something greater than themselves. Some form of guidance that transcends the conscious 2 + 2 rational mind, the mind we think with. It has its place. The small I, as some people call it, it has its place, but 2, when people try to run their lives with it, it's destruction. Usually it destroys them. Because we can't figure out everything. We can't see the big picture. But there's a part of us, or God if you like, that can see everything.
Yeah.
And when things, like I said, don't go like you think they should, you have to trust that if you have a goal, a worthy goal or ideal, Earl Nightingale gave this definition of success. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Now that doesn't coincide with the idea of success people have today. They have it like, oh, when you get the $1 million or the 100 million or the Lamborghini or the girl, that's success. No, he said success is the progressive realization, which means if you have a goal and you're moving toward it, you're a success today. Not when you get to the goal. Now, when you get to the goal and you reach that, if you don't have another goal, you're a failure. It's only when you're in the progressive realization, moving towards the goal, a worthy goal or ideal, that's when you're a success, not after you get the goal. But too many people think, oh, when I get that job, when I get that house, when I get that girl, man. So they think that's going to be the end all. I'll be okay when I get there. But that's a fruitless search to nowhere. It's the process. The joy is in the journey, as they say.
Yeah.
It took me many years to learn that, but it is. Just like what we're doing here today. Okay, I have, and welcome to my 1,491 subscribers, almost 1,500. Now, will I be more of a success if I have, when I have 1 million subscribers? No, I'm as much a success today as I would be no matter how many subscribers I have, because I'm moving toward a goal. And my goal is to inspire, enlighten, and build up humanity. Whoever's listening, to give them something that has been given to me through the years, the wisdom I have, which was passed on to me. I was told by one of my old mentors when I was over there crying one day, when you get big and strong like me, you're going to pass this on just like I'm passing it on to you. And like it was passed on to me. I mean, if we didn't do that, where would we be as humanity? And sometimes I think we don't do that. We continue to make the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say is that it's really good to be physically fit, like going to the gym or running your miles and all that sort of stuff. Because when you do things like that, or you do things once you start liking it, you can think of more goals.
Yeah.
Because I like going to boxing all the time, and I like going to the gym, and I like physically being fit because I got that from you. So I'm always thinking of new goals. And not only that, but when I think of new goals, then I start to what's it called? I start to think about affirmations, what I want from what I'm doing. And the thing is that after you start doing it, you do affirmations sometimes without thinking about doing it. You just do it. You just do it without thinking about it, and then the world starts to bear witness.
It becomes natural. It's the same way I tell people too. Affirmations work the same way as repetitions in the gym. You go to the gym and lift one day, do a bunch of reps, you're going to be sore the next day.
Yeah.
You're not going to start seeing any results for about a month.
Yeah.
It's the same way with affirmations. You got to do them every day, continuously, and eventually things will start happening in the outside, and you'll think, hey, that's congruent with my affirmation. But what people do mostly is they do it for a week or a couple days, and it don't work. I mean, I've got some affirmations I've been doing for over a year, and I can see some slow progress, but not. And then others I did, and it's like people will come up to and tell me things that are congruent with my affirmations. So the world bears witness to what you believe about yourself. Now, some people say, well, I can tell myself I'm a millionaire all day and I'll never become a millionaire. What happens is when you tell yourself that over and over and over again, you'll start finding yourself seeing opportunities to move in that direction. Now, you got to have a pair big enough to move in that direction, because usually when those opportunities arise, there's a fear standing between you and that opportunity. Some people call those opportunities bridges of incidents.
Yeah.
Okay? But you have to be able to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
Because between you and everything you desire in life, fear stands in the way. So what happens is the affirmations actually work because they create opportunities for you, but you don't work. You got to take the action. I'm a firm believer in it. You got to take the action, and you'll know when the action arises. But what people do is, well, I better not do that. I probably wouldn't do very well. And God, I'm not used to being around people like I don't know how to do that job. On and on. You start. This is the conscious mind. It rationalizes away your big opportunity. And that the big opportunity might not get you to your end goal, but it's a bridge along the way. But you got to have guts to cross that bridge. Well, let's say, Claude, we use you as an example here. You're training, you've been training 3 months or whatever to fight, and you really want to do it, and then all of a sudden your coach calls you up out of the blue and says, hey, Claude, I got you a pro fight. This guy had a couple amateur fights. Let's say he had 5. And this is his first pro fight. I got you set up for next weekend. I guarantee you that your stomach's going to get butterflies in it. I'll tell you that. Now, there's your opportunity. You've got a goal, and there it is. There's the bridge you got to cross to move you towards your goal. Now, what could happen? You could start thinking, oh, God dang it. I really haven't sparred much, and gee, this guy's had a couple fights.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what you do, instead of showing up for the fight, maybe you go out and a lot of times we sabotage ourselves in a way. Somebody in the chat. We sabotage ourselves in a way that we don't even realize we're doing it. So maybe you'll go out and you'll start sprinting harder, and you pull a muscle, or you strain a muscle, and you can't make the fight. So I did that when I was boxing. Sometimes I trained so hard, I didn't have as many fights, but I realized I did that from fear, because I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to be humiliated. So I overtrained. And that's the value of a coach. I mean, I didn't listen to my coach. He would say, you don't need to come out here and spar every night. Oh, no, I got to go. So I'd come every night. I didn't need to do it every night. Well, later on, when I realized, I started sparring 3 nights a week, and the other 2 nights, I would shadow box and just move around a little bit. I was a better fighter then because I wasn't wore out. So you got to be willing to face that fear when your opportunity arises, because the day will come when you'll be able to fight. But there's going to be nervousness there. But I'll tell you this, probably just like in football, you get in the ring, after the first punch, you're not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
It's like all the nervousness goes away. I mean, even if you lose and you get beat up, you're not nervous anymore. Or I never was.
It completely goes away, because there'll be times where my coach would tell me to get in the ring with somebody else like Warren, and I'll be nervous, but then as soon as I get in there and I get hit in the face, it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's
what
like,
was I afraid of?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not as scary as you think it is.
I mean, I remember my last pro fight. I wasn't really nervous before that one because I did a lot of affirmations and visualization. I would see myself before the fight being relaxed, and I was. But I remember when I got in there and I was fighting this guy, it was a close fight. And it was like every round, the ring girl was walking by, and I was flirting with her as she'd walk by and stuff. It's like, I wasn't nervous at all. I was even talking to the guy while I was fighting him. I was hitting him.
Yeah. See, the thing is that, like, what we're afraid of is because of, like, the fear in us, we're afraid of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And for all you know, it never ends up happening. You're afraid of the future, but you don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, and that comes back to the mental and spiritual fitness, trusting God or your higher self or your center, because you have to believe that everything is working for you and not against you. So many people say, what if I lose? How about this? What if I win? What if I win my next fight? What if I never lose? You can turn that what ifs around. What if today goes great? But so many people, because negativity is jammed into us from everywhere. The news. Does the news talk about, hey, life's going to be great today? No, all these terrible things that happen all over the world. They want you to be afraid because it brings you back to watch more. We need to tell, what if everything goes great today? What if when I go do this interview for this job, I get the job and they love me? What if My car runs for 500,000 miles. But too many times people are always thinking, what if it breaks down? What if my girlfriend cheats on me? What if this girl I approach doesn't like me? Or what if I go up there and she thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread? I mean, see, we just have to turn that around. It's just really a mental trick to trick ourselves. Everything comes from the way we think. You know, we have to change our thinking to change our life. It's so true. And that can be changed by what you put into your mind.
Yeah.
You know, what are you putting into your mind? You're watching TV all day, you're watching the news, you listen to crap that doesn't do anything for you. You know, whatever you put in is going to come out. You have the option to program your mind. If you're not programming your own mind, it's being programmed by everything out there. And their agenda is to get you to buy, to consume. That's what their agenda is. I mean, look at this health thing we had in the last couple of years. That was like everywhere you went in the background. Get your, whatever today. And keep your family
I had a
safe.
game last week, and our offense was getting our ass handed to us, and our defense was holding their own. And I think at one point, the other team scored a touchdown to put them in the lead, and offense was just trying to get another score so we can get put up. And the coach, he knew, like, he trusts me as a receiver, and he kept throwing me the ball, and they started targeting me. So what they do is they'll put a high safety right over me, so they'll double cover me. Well, we actually had two receivers, me and some other kid. We were going to run a screen, so which he just hikes the ball and instantly throws it to me. That high safety was hovering right above us, me and this other receiver, and we even had a linebacker come out to guard the other kid. And my teammate was supposed to block this corner, and as he goes to block the corner, all three of them go around this kid, my teammate, and then I catch the ball, turn around, I see three kids probably 2 times bigger than me. I mean, I don't care about the size, but as soon as I turn around, these kids just all come at me and truck me, and I'm like, oh. I get up after that, my thumb feels like it's damn near broke. But we eventually got another touchdown, and I mean, throughout that, we won the game.
Well, see, and that's what you gotta get back up. I mean, it's like when you get knocked down in boxing. I mean, you get hurt, you get up, and you start over again.
Yeah, that was the one time where I was like, man, do I want to continue this?
Yeah,
It's like,
that's a
I'm
normal
getting beat
feeling.
up.
I felt that when I
And
get
I was
knocked
like,
down,
you know what? I'm so far done. I'm so far, but I'm so far ahead of what I've become.
Yeah.
Might as well continue.
Yeah, the one thing my coach told me that I always loved was he told me it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Yeah.
And I really like that because, like, you could be fighting somebody who's like little, you could be fighting against somebody who's smaller than you, but you never know, they could be kicking your ass.
Yeah, everybody feels like quitting sometime. If everybody's honest, there's time when they're like, what's the use? I mean, we all get beat down, but it's the champion who gets back up and keeps moving forward, and that's the guy who will eventually get to where he wants to go. Persistence is all powerful. It's a powerful force to persist. And what time is it? 6:57. Where are we? Don't be. We're going on to that. I'll tell you what. I think we're going to stop there tonight, and we may continue this next week. And we'll get hopefully next week we'll get our sound right. So we're doing this on the iPhone, as I said. Check out my books on Amazon, as I said, and we'll be back next Saturday night. I may have a guest next Saturday night. I'm not sure. We shall see. Check out the Dragon Ship, the podcast today. We did at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's every Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a panel. We're with Thor there. That's a great show. What else? What else we got to tell about? I think that's about it. Maybe. I'm probably forgetting something. Check me out on Instagram at Mark's Inspiration. Something else.
Got the Twitter.
What's that?
Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, but I never do anything on there. Twitter's toxic. All right, thanks again. See you next week.